In verses 14 and 15 of chapter 28, Isaiah makes a serious accusation against the leaders of Israel. First, let's read these verses from the King James Version. "Wherefore hear the word of the Lord, ye scornful men that rule this people, which is in Jerusalem. Because ye have said, We have made a covenant with death, and with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, it shall not come unto us. For we have made lies our refuge, and under falsehood have we hid ourselves." Now let's use two different translations. "Therefore, hear the word of the Lord, you scoffers who rule this people in Jerusalem. For you said, We have made a covenant with death. We have fashioned an agreement with Sheol. When the overwhelming scourge passes through, it will not touch us, because we have made lies our refuge, and falsehood our hiding place." Isaiah is saying that the leadership of Jerusalem is guilty of both scoffing at God's word and making a covenant with death. He further says these people are in agreement with hell, have made lies their refuge, and falsehood their hiding place. Strong words. In fact, it may have been pronouncements like this that made Isaiah a marked man. But Isaiah wasn't just speaking to people in his day. He was also speaking to covenant Israel in the last days. We know this from his own words. In the original first sentence of his book, Isaiah actually said he was prophesying of the last days. That's in chapter 2, verse 2. Remember, chapter 2 was originally chapter 1 in his book. And because the first line of his book served as its title, the first sentence of his book began with the words, "And it shall come to pass in the last days." And then it goes on to prophesy about Zion being built up in the last days, and everything else that follows, not just in chapter 2, but throughout his book, also has at least one fulfillment in the last days. And remember what Nephi said about Isaiah. "For I know that they," the words of Isaiah, "shall be of great worth unto them in the last days, for in that day shall they understand them. Wherefore, for their good have I written them." Nephi painstakingly copied a third of the book of Isaiah because it would be of great worth to us in the last days. And again, Isaiah is talking here about the leaders of Jerusalem. Remember, in the very first verse of Isaiah, quoted in the Book of Mormon, we learn that Judah is a metaphor for the people who come forth out of the waters of baptism, meaning that Judah represents the covenant people. And Jerusalem, as used here in chapter 28, refers to the capital of the covenant people. So, what is this covenant with death? It can take many forms. A simple example may be, I will agree not to teach a certain doctrine if you will agree not to prosecute my people. Another, more insidious covenant might be, I will remove this person from power if you will grant our kingdom peace. As hard as it is to believe, such a covenant may be the thinking of those who one day mar the latter-day servant. He may teach such uncomfortable and disruptive truths that some may seek to remove him. Speaking of this, Jesus said, "For my sake shall the Father work a work, and there shall be among them those who will not believe it, although a man, the servant, shall declare it unto them. But behold, the life of my servant shall be in my hand. Therefore they shall not hurt him, although he shall be marred because of them." And as Isaiah explains, the Lord's servant shall deal prudently, but even so, his visage will be marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So hell may offer many enticing agreements to us, but in the end, any compromise with hell leads to death. As Isaiah said earlier in this chapter, a refuge of lies may begin innocently enough, like when we seek milk instead of meat in due season. But if this refuge of lies is not repented of, it can metastasize into something lethal, even a covenant with death. Again, how does it all start? There's an old maxim that says, as the spirit wanes, the form appears. This happens when form becomes our goal, our refuge, instead of truth. And of course, when anyone considers removing a prophet of God or physically marring him, which is what the Hebrew implies, a covenant of death will have finally ripened into a fullness of iniquity. And as Isaiah suggests, when these compromises ripen into a fullness, an overflowing scourge shall pass through. and it will be a scourge unlike any we've ever known, a scourge that will lead to the wicked being trodden down. And more about that later. Next time, Isaiah shows us how to avoid making agreements with hell by basing our faith on the foundation of truth, our precious cornerstone, Jesus Christ. I'm Curtis Taylor with the Words of Isaiah.